It's 10 years down the line. Why do I need to look at it now? Because other people are looking at it now. Because other people are planning for the next 10 years. Scenario planning in the micro is all well and good. It may affect your job day to day. It affects my job day to day. I want to do it. But macro planning can be your tool to success over the next 10 years, but also within 2021. Welcome to Weekly Marketing Thoughts with CTG Intelligence, your weekly look at marketing, PR, business development for your business and your career. Please hit that thumbs up button below and click subscribe for more content just like this. So I know what you're thinking. We're thinking of the 2030 Great Reset conspiracy theory by the World Economic Forum. Are we? Are we not? It doesn't really matter. What matters is what's the world talking about? Because if people are in any way thinking of the way in which technology is developing society, then they're going to be making changes right now, which means you have opportunities right now. In a previous video, we looked at new sectors. We looked at new online communication methods, new logistics and transportation and e-commerce. We looked at a whole host of things like that. But in a way, that's very much in the now, the micro. Zoom out to the macro. Let's go down a bit of a rabbit hole and see where the Great Reset would take us. Not that it's going to happen, not that it's some big conspiracy theory that's, destined to change society, but let's think of some of the things contained in it, a little bit like the Gartner hype cycle. If we start now, what's everyone going to be doing during a recession? They're probably going to be wealth planning. They're going to be planning and wondering, where can I invest and what's safe? Would offshore opportunities be of any interest? How long would fiat currency be viable? What can I do with crypto? So what I've done, I'm going to put a slide up on screen now. I've developed what I see is a few key developments that you can latch yourself onto or get in between transactions for to make a big success. Because yes, some of these things will have losers, but I think a lot of these transformations can have winners, and those winners can be you. People are going to be looking at how they can invest in themselves. Sure, we're going to be doing the age-old keeping fit and healthy, and mindfulness is going to take on a really new direction. But also, people are going to say, well, what type of skills can I develop? Because the big skill is the ability to find new skills in this coming decade. When individuals are looking at what they can invest in, they're going to wonder, what is the asset of the future? Will property be a surefire way of making money or keeping money? And where will that be allowed? Because don't forget, not so long ago, there were a host of countries where you weren't permitted as an outsider to own property for the very reason that it would create inflation and boost house prices and price the local population out. So will that still be there? What would liquidity look like? Imagine a world where we end up at 2030 with no banks and only a digital currency. Well, where is the liquidity? What does that mean for you? How can you quickly divest your interests? People are going to be thinking about this. You don't have to be the multimillionaire, the multi-billionaire. You just have to think, where would my potential client be looking to divest? So we're going to start with wealth planning. And then, as you see, of course, spurred on by the pandemic, if we move towards much more digital working as we are now, we're going to see revitalized towns where a real buzz will come back. The Victorians sent people to the seaside in the United Kingdom for their holiday. That sounds crazy to us because we've sort of been pampered. Everyone's been going to far-flung destinations, but where can you benefit from the potential revival from UK or your own local holiday resorts? I know what you're thinking. I'm an executive protection professional. Why do I care? Well, you care because your potential principals will be doing that. They'll be investing. You'll find your new job at some ancient British seaside resort that's had a revival. What are the implications there? Okay, maybe this is taking the world of imagination too far, but if, let's say, you're a cyber professional, what does a revitalized town mean for you and your logistics with a disparate working environment? What does a, not just a home working company, but a continually mobile working company look like? We've seen over the last decade the shift to servicization. You don't own software anymore. Software as a service, infrastructure as a service. The idea that you're okay, it's only a certain subscription forever. So you only pay a little bit now, but you pay it continually. Look at the over-the-top television platforms. It's only $5.99 a month for the rest of your life. So servicization, if you want to take one of the conspiracy theories from the Great Reset, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, okay, that's a bit insidious, but if you think about it, it's just the end point of the continual servicization of the economy. What about green energy? Even if you are a climate skeptic, green energy is in fact a good idea in that maybe it could be a cheaper source of energy. So if people invest in infrastructure, and of course tied with water shortages, you know that some of the prominent investors are investing there, our perception of critical national infrastructure might change. We might suddenly have to deploy lots of security resources against water to protect it, to make sure that it's not attacked or become scarce or stolen. We'll see the evolution of housing. Will everybody be living in these single family occupancy houses where they have a mortgage backed to generate interest? If we end up with a very, very big evolution or revolution in banks, what would that mean? What would that mean for the high net worth individual that has many properties around the world? What about locations in the world where property ownership will become not the norm, but the rare example? It's not that unheard of. Have a look at the rental market in Paris. Have a look at the big obligations on the house owner in Germany. It's not necessarily the norm in Germany to own your house, right? People in the US and the UK will think, well, that's absurd. Renting is throwing money away. We're not getting into that, but what I'm trying to say is, think of a world where the single occupancy dwelling is different. The whole concept is different. What about the evolution of not just cryptocurrency, but the crypto artwork, the crypto identity in this world where perhaps people aren't traveling unless they're the elite, and we'll get onto that. So we'll be able to trade in artworks and fictitious items like the crypto kitties. How, as a security professional, can you protect someone's $1 million crypto kitty? I mean, it's nuts. But what I'm trying to get you to do is extrapolate some of these ideas out to 2030 and think, where can that actually lead? What about the obliteration of privacy? What about the idea that, in fact, you don't have a right to privacy, and in fact, everything is hidden in plain sight? That will completely change how you do your business, especially when you do covert operations. What about quantum technology? Do I fully understand it myself? No. But then do you? I don't know. But what do we know? The promise that quantum technology could undo all encryption that we've got today. What would you do? Right? So I suppose there's a message for the security planner looking to plan out to 2030. Would you have a backup? Would you have a pen and paper backup? I don't know. But if you're a security professional looking to market a service, how can you ride that wave? Because can you imagine, just as double glazing was the white gold of the 1980s and 90s, so what will you do with encryption if it is totally busted? And then, of course, we go out to, the far-flung era of AI and automation and brain-computer communication, space travel. What would you do if your principal wants to go on a trip to Mars? How are you going to plan for that? Of course, what are the considerations and legal ramifications of operating in space, right? So we can go all the way out there. But I think this is a good time to sit down and reflect and say, right, lots of conspiracy theories out there. Fine. With any conspiracy theory, there's going to be an opportunity and, of course, a scary part of a conspiracy theory. But why not do a little bit of macro planning? What if that doomsday scenario happened? How could you still benefit? How could you still operate? I think this is the time. Now, okay, you could say, again, I like the micro. I started this little spiel by saying you're obsessed with the micro and you should look out to the macro. I get it. You want to put food on the table. You want to make the next sale. You want to get the next client. But as I said, it's not that you can't still do that, and you should still do that, of course, but your clients are going to be planning. So how can you help them get from A to B? How can you ride that wave? And of course, as I said, kudos to Gartner and their hype cycle. There's technologies at the moment that are on the wane, which will come back on the new on the new up in the cycle. You can look that up. That's a proprietary thing for Gartner, so I can't really put it on screen. But think about this. You can be motivated by the idea that this is your perfect year. 2021, by all accounts, could be the amazing year. And you're locked down in some countries at home. Okay, I get it. That's stressful, but it could also be the ultimate planning time, the ultimate time when you are not continually on the go. So, how are you going to take your boss to a new exotic location? Maybe Mars, maybe the moon. Who knows? It's great to plan. So I hope this has been good food for thought at the end of 2020, which for some people has been very, very tough. For others, it has been a big learning experience, right? They are still alive, they're still in business, so they are learning. I prefer to look at it in that way. And it has brought out some of the best and kindest elements of the security industry. So very, very pleased to see that. Anyway, hit that thumbs up button and click subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you next year, which isn't that far away. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.